Hello, I'm Craig Hamilton Parker and I'm a medium. Now, a medium's somebody that communicates with the spirit world and gives proof of life after death. Now, I'm going to talk today about one of my books. I've written a lot of books, but this is one of the books called Real Ghost Stories. And I'm going to tell you a few things about ghosts and see if we can understand a little bit more what we mean by a ghost, because there's a lot of misconceptions out there at the moment, isn't there? If you think about it, I mean, do you really believe some of these programs like Most Haunted and all the other ones where people going around playing at Ghostbusters, playing at Scooby-Doo, really it is, if you remember Scooby-Doo, or being Harry Potter, you know, they all think they've got magic psychic powers and things like this. So there's vast amount of fantasy. And of course, any sensible person would probably dismiss it all. But I'm not a sensible person. I believe there is life after death. And I believe that there are things such as ghosts, and that can all be proven as well. But what do we mean by the idea of a ghost, first of all? Because we bandy these words around, but they can mean different things. For example, I think about spirits, first of all. Now, a spirit, which we find in spiritualism and which mediums are all about, is proving that the human personality survives death. So when you and me die, we're going to go to the spirit world, aren't we? Well, I believe we will. And then, hopefully, we can communicate through the mind of a medium to give proof that we've continued. So, for example, in my own work, I can give a message from your mother or father or somebody in spirit that's passed over and give a few things that are verifiable that make you say, yeah, there's no way that he knew that. He couldn't have looked that up. He couldn't have known. That's a very personal message to me and acts as proof that there's life after death. But the problem with all the ghosty business is there's not a lot of proof to it, is there? It's all a bit fantasy, you know, if a metal detector bleeps or, you know, all these silly equipment that they take around with, and none of which can have been proven to connect with a ghost. Or we get an orb, which is dust usually, and water, vapour in the air. They all jump up and down and say, oh, we found a ghost, we found a ghost. But it's not like that. But that's not to say there's no such thing as ghosts. What we have to do is determine what they are. Now, when we buy a house, we don't always buy it on just what the estate agent's spec is. We have a gut feeling about it, don't we? We sense what the environment's like. We feel right about a place. This place feels good, you know? Or if we go somewhere horrible like Belson or somewhere dreadful like that, you can feel almost the oppressive, horrible atmosphere of that place. So we are sensitive to the vibrations of the places around us. Even if we were blindfolded, and I've done experiments with this, we can sometimes describe the environment we're in because we can sense its vibration. Now, people that are clairvoyantly sensitive, and I think we all are to an extent, will sometimes pick up on those things, those energies and feelings, but sometimes pick up on very specific things. So there's one example from the book. I'll just give you this as one example. It's a short little ghost story. I won't be long with it, but it's just interesting as an illustration. This guy talks about, he wrote to me in one of the newspaper articles, and that's what mainly the books are. There's the accumulation of short stories about people's ghost hunts. Ghost experiences. Anyway, when I was a crew member aboard the Bristol registered ship Castle Combe, we went to a small quarrying creek on the Welsh coast. That Wales is in England for the American viewers. It was one of those places where the ebbing tide left the ship high and dry. Not England, UK, I'll be told off. My attention was drawn to a dilapidated vessel anchored a little distance out. It looked like it was ready for the breaker's yard. One night I saw a faint light coming from one of the portholes, so decided to walk over to it and take a look. As I climbed aboard the deserted ship, I felt unease. I opened the door to the crew's cabins and was confronted by a man. He wore a mustard-coloured coat with a cloth cap pulled over his eyes, but he was floating 3 foot above the ground. I dashed back to my own ship. The next day I was worried by what I'd seen. Had someone perhaps hung themselves? I had to go back and find out. I opened the same door again, and in the daylight could see a large number of glass containers. Of course, that was the answer, I consoled myself. The man must have been standing on one of these, which was stood in the darkness. So, you know, did he see a ghost or not? But actually, this guy actually did then go back and found that somebody had actually hung themselves in that place. So, was someone stood on a glass container? or had he experienced a real ghost? I think we have to again apply verification rules to these things, because if we can afterwards find out that something really did happen at that place that we had no conscious knowledge of, then we can prove it, can't we? We can say, yes, someone was hung at that place, so there could have been a ghost there. But the problem with so much ghost hunting and things that go on nowadays is that people tend to, don't they, they kind of, they know that's a haunted place. So you go in a graveyard and start looking for ghosts. Every flash and every movement, every sound's going to be a ghost to you, isn't it? Because you're expecting it. But if you go to a place like the man went to that ship, for example, and you don't know it's been haunted in the past, you don't know that someone hung themselves there, and then you find out afterwards, well, then maybe you've picked something up. But it may not be a spirit. It may be, like I described before, a video recording in the atmosphere, as it were, an energy that you picked up, a memory in the environment. Because I don't see that ghosts, spirits could ever be there, sort of constantly replaying the same thing, always being hung, always being beheaded, always clanking chains, you know. They're perhaps things we picked up. And we might even pick up the fantasies of other people that have been to that place. There's a thought. Anyway, I've explored a lot of these ideas in my book, Real Ghost Stories. You can get it on Amazon, you can get it from my website. And you know, you can even come to my website if you like, and we can talk about it, because we've got chat rooms there and forums where people can post their ideas. But hopefully you've enjoyed this. It's given you something to think about, and go and have a think more. Read the book.